If you've ever walked through the woods at night, you know the feeling. There's no escaping it. Your eyes constantly strain to check a little further into the darkness, making sure there's nothing in front of you or behind. Horror films have capitalized on this sinister ambience. From the deep murkiness of The Forest to Cabin in the Woods, the gnarled trunks of trees seem to be a common trope throughout every level of the genre. The endless dark of the woods drives viewers to the edge of their seats. Its mangled branches and deep recesses provide a perfect playground for all of our darkest fears to run wild. The deeper the characters, and ultimately we, travel into the woods, the further they are from safety and the closer they are to harm. The backwoods wilderness of the Blair Witch Project epitomizes this forested landscape found in many horror films. The 1999 found footage phenom demonstrates that the woods in horror movies are represented both as a place of leisure and danger. The movie initially relies on America's cultural understanding of the forest as a playground, but gradually replaces that pristine image with an older, pre-Thoreauvian fear of the wilderness, one that paints the woods as malevolent. So the forest in the Blair Witch Project shows two constructs of the American wilderness that have deep and sometimes troubled histories. The film begins by quickly characterizing the three protagonists as naive and reckless in relation to the outdoors. Heather also talks nostalgically about hiking in the woods.
What's your favorite thing to do on a Sunday?
It used to be drive to the woods and go hiking.
And most of the group's actions during the first half of the movie are headstrong and confident. Heather constantly repeats that she knows where she's going and claims that you can't get lost in America these days. This assumed confidence of knowing the wilderness plays into the American mythology of the forest as a national playground. For these young people, the woods can't possibly be threatening because it exists for their pleasure and discovery. Throughout the movie, however, the group's bravado slowly drains as they begin to understand the malevolence of their surrounding landscape. In most cases, this fearful recognition of their environment bubbles to the surface at night. The consistent use of dim lighting and off-screen sound highlights the darkness between the trees. This lets the mind do most of the heavy lifting and works to exacerbate the horror of what could be waiting just beyond the light. There are roughly 10 paranormal moments spaced throughout the film, which provides us with a constant string of tension. Out of these 10 moments, 7 occur at night and use the forested landscape around the film crew's tent as a primary driver of fear. This particular scene, where the tent visibly shakes and the crew sprint through the trees as a means of escape, best represents the pre-romantic mindset in motion.
I'm coming! My boots aren't laced! Oh my god, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
Each tree and branch throughout the shots are cast in harsh light, lending them an otherworldly feel. On top of that, the majority of the frame lies in shadow, or at times is completely black, which hands the work of creating monsters over to our imagination. By forcing us to build our own nightmarish visions of what could be lurking in the bushes, the movie constructs the woods as a place of violence and unknowable terrors, instead of one where you might enjoy a weekend hike. Ultimately, the Blair Witch Project draws upon a wilderness construct that views the woods as vicious, in order to undo the safety of forested land that many white Americans have come to enjoy. While the depiction of the forest begins as a benign space for recreation and discovery in the beginning of the movie, by the end, the film firmly plants the woods as a place of violence and fear. To this end, the Blair Witch Project paints the woods with hostility, undoing the American myth of wilderness as ours, as safe, and as a playground. In its place, the film establishes a much more sinister idea of the woods, one that held weight for many humans before the rise of romanticism and national parks, a woods that struck fear in people because it was unknown and dangerous. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I'm trying out new end cards this week, so go ahead and check them out over here. Hopefully they look good and work. You can go and click on them and they should bring you to my YouTube page or my Patreon page. Also, I will not be making a video next Friday, but I'll be back 2 weeks from now. So I'll see you then. Bye.